Geek Tank Radio, News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Welcome, everyone. We are the Geek Patrol, and our microphones don't have a stun setting. Today, we're joining you from the annual 4th of July softball game between the Justice League and the Avengers. I'm really tired of this thing, you guys. It takes like 20 hours. They hit 800 home runs. It's impossible to get an out. It's not as entertaining as you might think, folks. So, okay. Thanks.
I'm sorry, Joe. I'd like to get in on this one, but I'm still reeling from the emotional roller coaster I've been through.
Now, if only the baseball game was taking place in Japan, because in Japanese baseball, you can end in a tie.
Oh, okay.
It's only 9 innings.
That sounds so boring.
I don't know. Anyway, welcome
A
to
tie?
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's how they they still play in the rain and thunderstorms and everything. So at some point they want to go home.
Oh, yeah. Okay, fine.
Look,
Anyway,
when you have to have a Gojira rule,
Yeah.
Japanese baseball is far more interesting.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm going to sit over in the corner since people feel the need to step all over where I was going with that, but it's okay.
All right. I don't know. Weird opening. Anyway, welcome to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max behind the glass. And, of course, it is July 4th weekend, my favorite holiday of the year. I'm only hoping that it doesn't rain, though. The forecast is not looking promising, so we'll see. Here in the Mid-South.
We need the rain, but, I mean, hey, if it could just do that on Sunday and then come back around and do it on Tuesday, we're good.
I mean, hey, if I could literally have the excuse to insult Joe and say it rained on his parade.
Yeah, it's going to. Yeah, I know, Max, you're patriotic, but you still love rubbing my nose and all this stuff. But
he's got a rolled up newspaper for you.
I
He's
just
good,
think it's funny that he's coming after your gimmick because that was like the best dad joke we've had in weeks.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Hey, guys, so we got some business to take care of. Next weekend, after the 4th of July, July 8th through 10th, we're going to be over at Joe Bob's Jamboree, which is joebobsjamboree.com is the website. And, Brandon, this is something you've eagerly been anticipating.
Dude, I'm super excited about it. These are my people.
Yeah.
I love you guys. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love you guys and what you've introduced me to in this world. But these are my people. This is the mutant family. They know where I'm coming from. You look at me and go, okay, yeah, but they know what I mean.
Well, it's a two-part location, so it's basically what they came to realize is when you're in the middle of July in Memphis, it can get a little hot out. So, they for the daytime activities, they're at the Memphis Hilton, which we all know the Hilton very well.
We do
in East Memphis, right over there by Poplar and 240, and so that's going to be sort of like a Joe Bob's convention. It'll have his celebrity guests. He'll be there, I assume.
Yeah, everybody who's slated to be at the later events are also slated to be at the convention during the day because, well, there's air conditioning.
Yeah, and
when we keep looking at heat indexes of 112,
right?
Yeah,
that's
I don't think I want to be at the drive-in in the daytime. So they probably made the right call here.
You also can't really do anything at the drive-in during the day,
right?
Because
that's sort of
the screens don't show
the point. Up. So it's basically the daytime, and then I guess as the sun goes down, everybody's going to move over to the Malco Drive-In, the summer. What do they call it?
It's the Malco Summer Drive-In because, well, I mean that's just where it is.
Right.
About 5 minutes away, 2 exits up.
It's a historical, drive-in. It's one of the few drive-ins left in America that's not just a random pop-up in a Walmart parking lot.
Right. Yeah, it's very convenient. I mean, and then just look for, if you've never been here, folks, if you're from out of town, just look for the Volkswagen Bug spinning on top of the sign.
Spinning on top of the sign,
Yep.
Somehow
the
it's
baby's
never
been
fallen
up there
down.
a long time.
And Joe Bob, I guess you said he's the champion of bad B movies and everything.
He is the patriarch of redneck cinema. He is Lord of the Drive-In, King of Monster Vision. The man has more knowledge in his head about random movie, trivia than me, you, Allan, and Max combined. He could run circles around us and Mr. Robert.
That's a challenge. Mr. Robert might call those fighting words. Brandon,
he might. And if the two of them...
But Mr. Robert would have a collectible from every movie in Joe Bob's head.
And I'll tell you this, I've already spoken with him. He's supposed to be at the convention. I don't know if he's going to the drive-in or not, but hey.
And just so you know, folks, we'll be set up there. We'll be promoting, Geek Tank Radio. We'll probably sneak in some stuff with Tool Talk, but then we're promoting the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention as well.
I think,
obviously.
I mean, we'll have the two biggest tools of Tool Talk there, so it's all good.
And I'll throw in from Tool Talk, the food dude will also be there, so bring your cooking questions.
It doesn't count when they're both you.
So
Can I stop us for just one second?
All right.
Man, there have been more food dude references this Saturday than there ever have been. You could have turned that into a drinking game.
well,
That's true.
Of course, you'd have to drink something like cooking wine or something. But
Yeah.
Hey,
So next week, July 8th through 10th, over at the Memphis, at the Hilton in East Memphis, and then at the Summer Drive-In. It's just drink your fluids, folks, because you're gonna have a long day.
And though we won't be there, I want to go ahead and mention how this whole thing kicks off.
Okay.
With how Redneck Saved Hollywood, Joe Bob's presentation over at Crosstown Theater.
Oh, good
On
point.
Thursday night.
Yeah, because he's getting into town the night before. So this guy just doesn't like to sleep, I guess. He wants constant activity.
He wants movies, mayhem, mutants, and Cracker Barrel.
All
He hits every Cracker Barrel in his travels. It's amazing.
okay.
Well, he is in a target-enriched environment.
He really is.
Yeah. So go to joebobsjamboree.com and check it out. So, and I guess we'll be reporting, like I said, we're not broadcasting live, but we'll be reporting our observations probably the week after as well. So,
Oh, yeah.
Right.
All right. Hey, guys. And then, so later in the show, boy, it took a long time to tease this. Later in the show, Orville Season 3, we're far enough into it where we can give, some substance and we can weigh in, and we're getting a feel for how the season's playing out. And so we're going to be unpacking that. It's all of us, I believe, are up to date on that. So, so we've got that, and I'm not teasing anything else because you just never know where the conversation's going to go.
Yeah, we tend to over talk, but it's what you love about it.
However, Allan, we are way overdue on science.
Hail science!
You brought us a science story today. my friend.
Actually, Brandon,
I brought you the
a
science story.
science story
You
today.
just don't pay attention to who posts things in our chat group, do you?
That's so you okay? Gotcha. So you sent because we have a group chat when we prepare. We spend literally probably 20 hours a week preparing this show, right?
Prepare.
Don't
No,
worry,
we spend 20 hours a week together. Now, we spend about 20 minutes.
No. But anyway, yeah.
20
so you're right.
seconds.
So
Max,
this is something, Allan.
you're not wrong.
This is I don't know if this is clickbait or whatever, but this has to do
All right,
with
well, Brandon sends me a note that says, I blame Allan.
right.
And then next underneath it, it says, mystery rocket smashed into the moon, left 2 craters, says NASA.
Right. Although I was the one that said I blame Allan. But go
Okay,
ahead. just
you
to
blamed
clarify.
me. Okay.
So
all right.
2 rockets.
Yeah, well, let me stop for just a second. Hey,
jeez.
iMessages. Make it where we know who's talking to who in our chat. I'm
Okay.
just saying. All right, guys.
Allan, a rocket. That suggests that we're up there shooting, some guys up there shooting rockets at the moon, which is probably not a good idea to do. Is
Okay,
that what's
well,
happening here?
all right.
That's what most of my neighborhood's been doing the last 3 days.
Yeah, no
It's like
kidding.
my neighborhood's been under assault for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Okay, so here we go. We have a reconnaissance orbiter, the LRO, that goes around the moon and takes pictures.
Okay.
We do?
We do.
Yeah.
Had one for a long time. They
You can-
launched
you
this
can-
baby a
Wait,
while
we
back.
have that?
Yeah, you can.
NASA,
It's NASA.
yeah.
You can check out the photos on their site.
How did
Yes.
I miss that?
I don't know, but you should
No.
check it out after the show. So we
Because
can
you
keep on
Even
going.
talked about it on the show, Joe.
Wait. So there's
Yeah,
it's
but
orbiting.
that was back during the other days.
Okay,
So-
that's
hey,
true.
Allan, I'm sorry, but you mentioned
He's
it.
already triggered.
Does it get good photos of the dark side of the moon? Is it just
gets
black
beautiful.
over there?
It gets beautiful pictures.
it's-
No, the dark side of the moon is only dark to our vision. The moon rotates in synchronous rotation with the Earth.
So they
the
get light
face-
periods
right.
over there.
The
Okay.
face of the moon is always towards us based on how both planetary objects turn.
Right.
The dark side of the moon gets day and night just like everything
so it's
else.
just a phrase, dark, because we don't
It's
see
dark
it.
because we don't get to see it.
Okay.
Correct.
Although
I
didn't
b-
the Chinese space
Yes,
agency send
they have a probe
rovers
on
over
the
there?
other side.
Okay.
And right.
All right. Well, we're up to date. Sorry, I was just
All
making
right.
sure. That's news breaking to me. I didn't
Well,
know that.
all
it
good.
is, but the LRO is massively popular because it gives the average person, it's kind of like Google Earth.
Sure, I'm gonna get on there and
You know.
check it out.
You can go look at stuff and kind of go, wow, I didn't know my neighbor just got a new pool.
Yeah.
So it's basically what we're looking at here. So on May 25th, the orbiter's doing a bunch of its pictures and stuff. They released them. And suddenly everybody began pointing to a pair of dual craters that showed up around March.
Right. Okay.
So there is, if you look at the picture, 2 new dots on the surface of on the surface of the moon. And sure enough, something hit it. Now, nobody has recently said we're going to the moon.
Nobody's seen. They're all looking at Mars, right?
Right. Everybody's kind of aiming for Mars and that kind of stuff, but nobody has really mentioned the moon. And of course, no country says, hey, we're launching something to the moon.
Although they're always talking about setting up a space station there for the sense of
right.
It makes it easier to launch cargo and to set up, experiments and things. But
that's true.
That's down the road.
Nobody came up and said, hey, we're launching something. None of the EarthNet systems caught anybody launching something.
Yeah.
Because, we're looking.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody's watching everybody. So nobody launched anything. How did something hit the moon?
Right. Hey, sorry, Alan, but I interrupt when you're interested. When you're saying something interesting. Is it correct to think of the dark side of the moon? I picture that as where all the action is in terms of if a meteor or something's coming in. I picture it kind of like when Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Terminator 2 is standing in front of John Connor to protect him from. He's catching all the bullets so that they don't hit John Connor or something. And is that kind of what the moon is doing for us, and especially the dark side because it's facing out where it's vulnerable? Like, all the stuff's flying in, and it's acting as a shield for us.
Saturn and Jupiter actually do that.
Well, they all do it to a degree, right?
Yeah, but we got 2 big gas giants with a whole lot of gravity.
Yeah,
and that's how come most stuff hits Jupiter.
Right. Yeah.
Jupiter is like the big giant buddy with the Captain America shield, going around the outside, keeping all the debris out. Okay. The moon is now serving a whole new purpose that I found very bizarre in this article. But if you think about it, it makes perfect sense.
It's our recycle bin, isn't it?
The moon is a Roomba.
Oh,
no. Really?
Because
that suggests vacuuming up stuff. So.
It does have a certain amount of gravity.
Yeah.
And we are putting a colossal amount of junk into space.
It's picking up broken satellites and stuff like that? Is that what?
At least 47 NASA rocket bodies have hit the moon in the last couple of years.
I didn't know that was possible. I thought it just shreds up and then falls back into our atmosphere and burns up.
Well, if it comes this way.
But
if it was already going that way, as the moon comes around, the moon is...
That's kind of a problem, Alan. What if we start... running into stuff? I mean,
we are running into stuff. It's running over stuff.
Ooh, okay.
This is kind of like when you left all your toys in the driveway.
Yeah.
And your dad didn't pay attention coming home.
Right.
I was thinking more along the lines
some toys
of eventually it's going to hit something and kind of remind you of when that Roomba hits the mess the cat left. Because if the moon, if it hits enough stuff, it could get knocked a little off.
Oh,
and then the tides.
Wait, so you're
and
talking
the weather. And
yeah.
Maybe that's already happened.
If we didn't do that with earlier solid rocket test where the rocket was aimed at the Earth. Yeah. We'll talk about those.
But we were putting a lot less up there back then.
We were putting a lot less up there, but we were putting a lot more force on the Earth back then.
Just imagine how many satellites that Elon has put up recently that have then expired and gone off into.
Well, Elon was the first suspect in all of this.
So they're blaming him?
Well, he was the first. He was the first suspect because they went, he's doing a lot of these Falcon X rockets and he's launching all these satellites. So they figured one of those had to have been went tumbling into the moon. But most of the people that have been watching the space junk said, nah, the one you're talking about's over here. It hasn't fallen on anything yet.
Okay.
So they know where that is.
So these are side-by-side craters. Well, what's
the
verdict?
All right, what they think it is, because the Chinese have said, no, it wasn't us.
Okay.
And everybody went, yeah, but you had a 5T1 rocket a few years ago that never burned up. So we have a feeling it wandered out and slammed into the moon.
So if it's doing that, it's got enough So the gravity, it gets out there in space. It starts falling into the moon's gravitational pull, and it's going fast enough to leave 2 big craters, huh?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Well, you're looking. All right, keep in mind space and speed.
Mm-hmm.
Very different ideas than we have on Earth.
Yeah.
Because you're talking, if something were to actually get caught by the moon's gravity, coming from space, either coming from Earth or coming from an external source, you're looking at around, I don't know, 5,000 miles per hour.
Yeah, that's a pretty big impact.
Yeah,
Even if it's the size of a thermos or something. It's gonna,
there was a movie that made a big deal out of how a tiny little piece of space junk will blow a big old hole through something you don't want it to blow a hole through.
Allan, did we know that this was possible back when we first started launching satellites? Because to me, this sounds like a real problem. I didn't realize that this stuff could go out. I don't know why. I just assumed it would just fall back in as it breaks up.
No. Oh, no. There's actually been a couple of predictions that if the Earth isn't careful, by the amount of stuff we keep putting into orbit, as these things begin to decay, fall apart, break apart, bump into each other,
right?
We could actually create a shredded net of tiny little pieces of metal going 19,000 miles per hour at a conservative estimate, flying around the Earth and thus isolating the Earth.
Well, you're already making like almost a man-made Saturn rings or something, and you cannot be flying through that. You can't. I mean,
well, Elon has already put up a huge number of satellites, and I think it is now actually functioning and available.
They almost need to make these where they can self-destruct or steer them into the. I don't know. This is a big deal.
It is a huge deal.
They better figure this out. So.
It is a huge deal.
How do you go up and clean this up? Like, I mean, do you send giant
the
magnets?
The unexpected thing is we have a moon.
I don't know. I mean,
well, the unexpected thing is we have a moon that is now a giant Roomba.
You're asking the moon. You're asking a lot of the moon, and I feel like the moon's got its own.
I'm not
views
sure
on
I
this.
want to go to the moon knowing that's where everything's going to fall.
Well, exactly. You set up a space station up on the moon, and it's raining.
And now you get hit by a crescent wrench from 1962 that comes plowing in at 5,000 miles per hour.
Gee whiz.
And keep in mind, the moon doesn't have that wonderful atmosphere thing to burn this stuff up.
Yeah, it just goes straight in. I don't know, man.
So welcome to a little space news. The word is you might have to duck.
Okay, well, it seems like they should have thought about that. Well, it's funny. I haven't heard lately because I thought, what was that thing Elon Musk was going to launch where it was going to be thousands of these satellites?
He's already been doing that.
Well, how is he allowed to do? And I like Elon Musk, but
you're like the only one in this room. Then
I don't know. He keeps life interesting, but it's like so.
That's one way to put it.
So does that psycho down the street who waves a machete at you from the corner.
Okay, but so how is he still allowed to do that if this is an ongoing concern?
Nobody owns space.
It sounds like the Wild West up there.
It really sounds like
we're going to be paying the price at some point.
It's kind of like the way America is now. You don't know what's going on.
It just seems nuts. I mean, this seems like something that really needs to be considered.
Well, there are a variety of groups out there that are watching for near-Earth objects. And the big thing that started was, back in the 70s was, oh dear, a giant asteroid is going to sneak up on us and we're going to go the way of the dinosaurs. And it's not that a giant asteroid couldn't sneak up on us. It's just that, we've been putting a lot of stuff into space.
Well,
and as we found out from Skylab, what goes up will come down.
Even if it doesn't come down, I'm getting pretty mad about this, but the thing is, Brandon, I think, mentioned it. Okay, the moon regulates the tides of the Earth. Well, if you start messing with the moon, what if you throw it out of orbit by a degree, or what if you mess up?
Then we sink Florida.
We might suddenly have Arizona as oceanfront property. I mean, this stuff seems like a big deal to me.
You and I both look a little like Lex Luthor.
I don't like this at all, man. So I didn't realize I just never realized what a serious situation this is potentially turning into.
Well, it's there's a lot of stuff, and it's going to go somewhere.
Okay. Well, Elon, I try to support you sometimes, but this one, I don't know, man. So.
I mean, you can go ahead and support him all day long. I don't think it's something that you can completely put on him. There's plenty of people who keep launching things into space just because they have the money to do so.
He hasn't crashed anything into the moon.
Okay.
Yet.
But he's
that
the
we
one,
know of.
Well, that we know of. But there are a lot of people watching. NASA's watching. And like I said, if you want to go online and check it out, go online to NASA's website and check it out.
Okay. I mean, we don't want another moonfall on our hands. So anyway, you're listening to Geek Tank. You're listening to Geek Tank Radio here at News Talk 98.9 The Roar Memphis. We're going to keep the talk in space as we discuss the Orville Season 3.
Geek Tank Radio.
And now for the finishing touch.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
I know that reference, Max. That's very good, man. You guys know that?
We definitely need finishing touches in here, though.
A little classic Spider-Man soundbite. Was that the Vulture? I don't know.
That was Mysterio.
Mysterio. Very good, Max. That is a deep, deep cut. Anyway, welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and the ever astute Max behind the glass. You guys, we're going to talk about the Orville Season 3 in just a moment, but we got a couple of pieces of business real quick to take care of. I want to mention Brandon, I went into the Memphis Marriott East the other day to go take care of some business, and it was reminding me
because we've got an MCFC coming up in November.
Yeah, the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, November 18th through 20th. At the moment, our celebrity guest is Adasa, the voice of Dolores from Encanto. Those three words. I say at the moment because we always add to the mix. We've added a new feature called Uncomfortable Theater that is going to be a lot of fun. My son Jeremy is running this.
I am actually really excited to see what you and Jeremy pull off of this. We originally teased the idea of Uncomfortable Theater, back in 2017?
Like 3 years ago. Yeah, it's been a while. So, folks, this is where we want your participation. That's sort of my call to action. So the Uncomfortable Theater, it's basically going to be 3 to 5 minute performances. We don't want this to just be... there's going to be some production value behind this, Brandon. If you want to be involved in Uncomfortable Theater, you actually have to try out for it. You guys are going to do like your own various tryouts. Yeah. We want rehearsal. We don't want just somebody just getting up there and winging it. So we want there to be...
Are you wanting people to send you videos or like TikToks or something?
Well, videos would be good. Basically, what we want you to do, go to memphiscfc.com, go to the contact page, make initial contact, and say you'd like to be involved and perform at Uncomfortable Theater. It's going to probably be, I would assume, you think this is a Saturday night thing for the convention?
This is designed to be Saturday night. Our cosplay contest is usually at 5 p.m.
Right.
Then we take about an hour break so anybody who needs to go get dinner or whatnot can come back. So that we would probably kick this off at 7 and run until we are out of contestants.
So basically what it's going to be is November. So that's Saturday, November 19th. So yes. Keep that in your page. And basically, for one thing, when we say uncomfortable, we're not looking for anything offensive. We don't want anything that's going to, political. We don't want anything that's going to rile people up. We just want that cringy, kind of like you used to see in The Office for something.
So you're looking for a cringe talent show.
Right, cringy. We want you to feel
or like a Brady Bunch variety hour.
A perfect example to me when I talk about uncomfortable is you remember that Academy Awards where they accidentally gave the wrong award to the best picture of the year, and they had to change it in the middle of it.
When Moonlight won, but they wanted to give it to like whatever that other movie was.
Right. If you enjoy that kind of thing, you're going to fit in with Uncomfortable Theater. So that's what we're looking for. Nice. And honestly, Brandon, every time I go in, now, full disclosure, the Marriott is not the biggest venue we've went into.
No.
I would have to say it has the most heart and the most personality, and honestly, from the general manager down to every person that works at the front desk, the sales department, they love the convention. They said we're their favorite event.
We are their favorite event, and it's a smaller venue, but when we got done with our reset after the second year that will not be named, It was the place we needed to go for restructuring.
And people love the vibe there. It's a beautiful hotel, very comfortable, and it really does create a unique, comfortable, and just pleasant convention experience.
There's just something awesome about an entire staff that welcomes you, and not just, a handful of people, and then the rest of them are like, give us your money and get out.
Yeah, you'll feel that when you show up. So learn more. And, of course, soon on the show, we're going to be doing an interview with our celebrity guest of honor, Adasa, who's a hip-hop artist and a Disney voice actress. She sings that earworm of the century, We Don't Talk About Bruno, which we're going to be hearing that all weekend. I've just come to accept that.
Just
so
be prepared. I'm thinking about buying a specific MCFC earplugs.
Right.
They say Bruno on the outside.
Well,
we're not talking about it.
They'll have like pictures of AD or the logo hanging off of them. That way Joe doesn't get it stuck in his head.
Yeah.
I'm down for it. I love the song.
I know. Okay.
I'd sing it here, but I don't want to hurt your ears.
Okay, so check that out. Go to memphiscfc.com. If you're a vendor or an artist, we have a few booth spaces left, and I mean a few. So
we're cutting.
This
to
is
the
about
wire.
the time we sell out. And just a reminder, next weekend we are going to be promoting over at the Joe Bob Briggs Jamboree over at the Hilton, and
I'm going to have my
Hilton.
wheel out.
He'll have the wheel out for the prizes.
The wheel will be available
so
for the prizes.
You might win things, and then also over at the Malco Summer Drive-In as well for the evening activities. So. Yeah. All right, well, let's shift gears. Brandon, we are thick in the middle of. I don't know how many episodes they're going to do, but
there are 10
3.
episodes on this season,
and we're going to deal in spoilers,
and
folks.
we just
fair
had
warning.
episode 5 hit,
right?
Which is all right.
Can I say something, Brandon? Because
let me lean back for a second.
Okay.
If you're a fan of the Orville and you haven't checked out season 3 yet, I do want to give you a little bit of a warning.
Right.
With this third season, Seth and them did not know if they were going to get another season, and then of course with COVID constantly shutting things down, they have obviously gone in there to tell those hard hitting stories that Trek does like 1 or 2 every season, and they have hit us with that like 5 times in a row.
Because what I was about to say, Brandon, is they deal with you. Pick a hot button topic. And go, there's no way they would ever put this in the show, and they put it in the show.
Yeah.
And it's like, but I do feel, in all sincerity, when Star Trek was at its best, it was basically taking issues like that and making it where if you are on either side of the issue, you could probably relate to it, and you might look at it in a new way. And to me, that's a uniting thing. And I haven't seen that very well done, except I think they do a good job of it in the Orville.
They do an amazing job of it here. Sometimes the message can get a little heavy-handed, but it never gets preachy.
Preachy or I would say belittling. Like in other words, if you don't agree with us, just go away. There's never any of that.
One of the the first episode, of course, it deals with Isaac having been reinstated with the crew, and they just come off the opening salvo of the Kylon War. His species are
basically going to wipe out all organic life.
Yeah, they want to destroy all organic life.
Yeah,
and of course, if you saw the end of the season 2, he was compromised. Because he had the programming, and he's been reactivated. He's a member of the crew, and there's a lot of people that are not happy with this in any shape, form, or fashion.
Right. Well, we see it. It's like they're making him so depressed. Well, they're dealing with suicide and the way pressure can, drive. I don't know. I was like, I did not expect that for the season 1.
No. With the season premiere, you're getting all these cool retrofits, and they're working on new stuff for the ship because, well, it's got to be battle ready now.
Right.
And they're getting like this cool little almost like its own little fighter ship that accompanies the shuttle out now, and then you've got people who genuinely want Isaac gone.
Yeah,
and he weighs that, and when one of the most important people on the crew, not on the crew but on the ship, is also against him.
Yeah,
and I mean, if you know his relationship with Claire and her kids, when the kid is her oldest son wants him gone, and he has nightmares because of what they dealt with the Kylon. He, from a scientific standpoint, realizes that it would be better for the crew. They would be more efficient if he was no longer there.
Yeah.
So he deactivates himself.
Because he has no emotions, but
Right.
But the thing about it is, now that they moved over to Hulu, they have. Okay, I will say this: they've taken advantage of the fact that they can say a few swear words. It's nothing horrible, but they've made the budget is definitely bigger. The production looks great, but I admire the fact that they didn't just switch gears and say, okay, now we can do anything we want, so we're going to make it as shocking or whatever. They still kept it. I would say you could still watch it with your family.
Too often when when a show gets its free reign to do whatever.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that I worried about when we found out Deadpool was going to be rated R, but of course the video game did it first. Where it just became vulgar for vulgar's sake.
Right.
I was worried. When you hear no network restraints, and we know Seth MacFarlane can delve into the gross out humor.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is such a he loves this project so much that I don't think he would have killed the integrity of it,
right,
in order to go for the gross out jokes. They've gotten a little more serious than what you may have expected after season 2, because season 1 was a good mixture, and then season 2 kind of delved a little bit too much into the ridiculous.
Right.
Like when Bortus became addicted to the hologram, the
cigarettes.
The synthesizer with the his basically the adult content of the synthesizer.
Right.
And but we now have seen stories that have dealt with political upheaval. We saw the first one was suicide. And most recently, gender identity.
Well, the one thing I wanted to say about that is in Star Trek or any shows like this, typically they have what's called like a A plot and a B plot.
Right.
My only one beef about this last episode, because I thought it was really well done, was that the very minor plot was they went to this planet and they uncovered like an archaeological find similar to like the Great Pyramids of Egypt.
Yeah.
There was a massive treasure. There was all sorts of artifacts, and they barely touched on that. I would have liked to have learned about that myself.
I think that there's more to come with that.
Okay.
Because I think that was just the touchstone of something that will be an undercurrent through a few episodes.
Well, that's the thing. It's turning into a serial type thing, because it's not like it used to be like with Star Trek: The Next Generation or something. You could watch one episode. They may not even reference anything the next episode. They're what are they, standalone or something? So they're doing kind of a combination approach on this.
Which is always a good feel when you've got an overarching storyline, but you're getting something new each week. And not just an add-on to what you've already retread. The episode that they did where they basically ended up in high school for a minute, and then it's like they kept jumping. The anachronistic episode. What did they? I think it's called the Mortal Complex.
It was called the mortality paradox.
That was it, and that one was a little weird, especially when Gordon got beaten up by the high school bullies.
Yeah, because it turned into a monster. Yeah,
right.
I don't know. It looks like so. Who's doing the writing on this show?
Oh well, I mean, from what I understand, Seth is one of the main guys in the writers' room, but he's got a crew.
I was gonna say this is a big production, so I didn't know what roles everybody's playing in this. So
they've got a fairly actually like the episode Electric Sheep. The first episode is like sole credited to Seth MacFarlane for the writing.
Okay. So how many episodes are going to be in this season?
There are 10 episodes in this season, and while they haven't ruled out Hulu and Disney deciding, hey, you guys need another season, right now they're playing it as if this is the final season of the Orville.
Wait, what does Disney have to do with it?
Disney owns Hulu.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, they bought a big stake.
Yeah,
oh, that's right, because you can get the package where it's Disney, ESPN, and Hulu,
they bought the controlling stake in Hulu just after the Fox acquisition.
Yes.
Okay. Well, are they going to want to?
It really depends on how well the show does as far as streaming numbers, and from what I understand, it's doing pretty good.
So Disney really does own everything. I mean, it's getting there,
yeah.
right? Because I don't know.
It's like they own Star Wars, they own Marvel, they own what is it? National Geographic. They own ESPN. They own ABC.
They own Fox now.
They own Fox, Hulu. And they basically own everything except for Stranger Things.
Okay.
And
For
HBO
now.
Max.
Yeah. Well, so I wonder why this is such a I'm not complaining, but I'm just curious why this is such a passion project for Seth MacFarlane. Was he just a big Trekkie, basically?
He's an enormous fan of Star Trek, and his love for Star Trek is huge. He wanted to work on Star Trek, and there was a chance at one point where he was going to go work for CBS and do something with them, and that never materialized. But we get, because of his love for Star Trek, we got the Orville, which is probably one of the closest things to Star Trek out there now, and that's including 4 freaking Star Trek shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it. I'm feeling it a lot more than
it's like Discovery. I like Discovery. I'm one of the few people who seem to like Discovery sometimes, but it seems to have changed itself with every season. It's almost like an ever evolving animal. Like it doesn't know what it wants to be yet.
Yeah.
I think they finally found their footing, but who knows? Next season they may go a completely different direction. Picard was a little too pessimistic.
That's what I heard. Yeah, that one was very dark.
Now we've got, it's like Lower Decks is pure comedy. Prodigy is fun, but it's definitely geared towards a younger audience. And right now, Strange New Worlds it's great, but there's something missing, and I'm not sure what it is. I'll continue to watch it because I really love it, but right now, the most Star Trek thing on TV is the Orville.
Well, what's interesting about this, too, is because... Oh, go ahead, Alan. Sorry.
Well, I'm going to throw in, all these new shows are fabulous and all these great things, but one thing nobody mentions anymore, the chemistry.
That's a good point.
The chemistry...
Everybody, you could put any 2 of those characters together and they work.
Yeah, we go back to 67. Mm-hmm. The chemistry was unmistakable.
Right.
We get to Deep Space Nine. Again, you've got characters that really clicked and popped on screen. Mm-hmm. We got to the entire Next Gen.
Yeah.
And just suspending disbelief to watch the show.
It's funny that the only person on Next Gen that didn't really have the right chemistry was the kid. I mean, it was Wesley Crusher. He always kind of stuck out like a sore thumb amongst everybody.
You think so?
And yet Will Wheaton is probably the biggest, cheerleader for Star Trek and sci-fi in general that there is.
Huh. I thought, okay. Well, I thought he fit in. I thought it made sense the way he was there.
Yeah, but there's just, in the first season of Next Gen, there's a lot of, it's obvious that, the production was not going in a way that people were expecting, and a lot of these people just didn't click.
Yeah.
By season 2, when they got to know each other, they all clicked. But I think because of the fact that Will Wheaton was so much younger than everybody else,
right,
it never really felt like the chemistry was there. Not like, you see with kids today, like, the kids who play Claire's, boys, or the actress that plays Topa.
It's interesting.
Well, I mean, you get to the Orville, and you've got the grand sweeping scenes, especially anything on the ship's deck.
Yeah,
where it's the Star Trek classic. We have 8 characters in frame, and only 1 or 2 we're actually going to pay attention to. But you've got 8 characters in frame,
and they're all doing something,
and it's comfortable. Mm-hmm. It's Worf is supposed to be standing over there.
Yeah.
Another thing that the Orville does that's kind of different, I might have already discussed this too, is the fact that they actually show shots from outside the glass looking in. They don't really show that in the original Star Trek series, which is interesting.
Yeah, what do you call that shot, Brandon, where they're they're in space, they zoom in towards the window and look in? So
you would ask me when I'm I don't have the technical term.
I think it's called the exterior establishing shot with a fade through.
There you go. Very good.
Why'd you ask me? Why didn't you ask the production guy?
Hey, Al, chemistry is a big deal. You're right. And it's not just chemistry with the characters. It's just the way the set design. Like we've always praised what a great looking ship the Orville is inside, how comfortable the interiors are.
That's
a big deal to make it appealing to watch.
It really is. It's one of those situations where the set is as much a character as the actors. There's a lot of really good properties out there that do that. With the Orville, it's the ship. With, let's say, Joe's favorite thing in the world, Batman. Gotham City is its own character.
Yes.
Yep.
It's got to have a vibe. It's got to have a certain level of pick on Star Wars for a minute. Of New Hope, gritty, Sahara Desert, robots melting in the sand. Mandalorian, gritty, robots getting blown up in the sand.
Here's the thing. Arid planets are characters in Star Wars.
It's just not it's just not what people. I'm looking for I'm not going to say they expect it. But there's a certain comfort level that the cast, the characters, and the environment have got to have together. And when you're standing in front of a green screen, I don't think you get that.
No. When you're interacting with a puppet, you can pull it off. But when you're interacting with a tennis ball on a stick, not so much.
So the thing that's interesting about the way this season's shaping up is there's an underlying thing. They are in a war footing. So there's elements of like Deep Space Nine, because Deep Space Nine dealt
right on the edge.
He was a captain that was dealing with a war. There was an ongoing, continual storyline that ran through Deep Space Nine that was pretty pronounced. It seems like here there's a balance, because you still, even I would say that episode, the mortality paradox, where they go to that planet, that was a standalone. You could have watched that and know nothing about the Orville. So I hope they kind of keep that combination going, but I really hope they get a season 4, because they're basically setting up a lot of stuff that I don't know that you can resolve it in four more episodes or 5 or whatever's left. So
but
he's got a kid now.
It's something you might have learned. We've learned. And again, it's going to be a couple weeks before I actually get to delve into this, but like something we learned with Stranger Things this season, when you're streaming, and it's been very obvious with the Orville as well, you don't have to stick to a time schedule. Like these last 2 episodes of Stranger Things were an hour and a half and 2.5 hours.
Oh, good point. It's not like it's a 40-minute episode.
Each one of these episodes of the Orville has been at least a full hour, if not longer. The latest one, A Tale of Two Topas, is an hour and 15 minutes.
And it's as long as it needs to be.
Yeah.
That's a good point. It's funny, though, because they still fade out and do things like commercial breaks.
Like they have commercial breaks, yeah.
Because I'm thinking, wait, is there even going to be commercial?
Well, yeah,
but maybe one day there would be.
But remember, for the longest time, there was also I don't know if there still is. There very well may be. I don't have it, but there's a Hulu that has a ad tier.
Right.
It's a cheaper version. I'm sure that it gets those little commercial breaks where those fades are.
I think you're right. Yeah, actually, that is
but
true.
But we've got ad free, so
right. Well, we highly recommend it, and like I said, trust me, they are going to hit on topics that might make you a little uncomfortable. But at the same time, I feel like he does it more even-handedly than a lot of shows. So I think no matter what side you fall on, you'll probably walk away going, okay, well, it made me think about some things,
right.
And it's just fun science fiction, and it's well done.
And that's what's great.
That's the big thing. It's just fun.
Right. Yeah.
And if it opens your mind to something, you open your eyes to something else, awesome. Just have fun with it.
Absolutely. So, all right, well, guys, just a reminder, next week, we hope you'll drop by Joe Bob Briggs Jamboree. Go to joebobbriggsjamboree.com.
joebobsjamboree.com.
This is me stepping into some unfamiliar
This will be
turf.
like culture shock. Joe has no idea what he's in store for.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And then also go to memphiscfc.com to learn more about the upcoming Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, which is not that far away.
No.
We also remind you to check out Geek Tank Radio's Facebook page and check out all of our past episodes. Well, guys, it's time to get out of here. It's been another interesting episode of Geek Tank Radio. And so let me start over. Until next week, we are the Geek... Edit that out. Until next week, we are the Geek Patrol, and I am Joe Thorderson.
I'm Allan Gilbreth.
I'm Maximilian.
And I'm Brandon Elmstead, reminding you to keep your eyes on the stars, and if they get bigger, get out of the way.